Hi, it's Laurie Wright, also known as Not Your Average Grandma. And I have a great guest. Today, we're going to talk to Linda Ward. I was attracted to Linda because she has a adventurous spirit. I read an article she had written where she went on a trip for 3 months. She stayed in Italy, and it happened to be a dream of her husband. So you'll learn a little bit more about that, how it came to be. But she is so inspiring because she is somebody who really has blossomed in her second half. She's 69. We're not going to say almost 70 because I think it's a mistake a lot of us make. I always add a year to my life. I mean, starting when I have half the year before I'm going to turn that age, I start saying I'm that age. So I'm not going to say she's 70. She's 69, and she's celebrating that year for the entire time that she's 69. But she was blindsided right before she turned 50 and was left on her own. She was a divorced person, not of her own desire. And so I love her story because she found love again. And it wasn't right away, it took some time and she was patient. But her spirit is such a great spirit. Her energy is so great. And I'm sure she attracted love once she got over the heartache, because some people never recover from that. She clearly did. And one of the things I love in her notes that she sent me was that she feels most of her life fulfilling transformations have happened after the age of 65. So she has had this amazing life after 65 in the last 4 years of her life. And that makes me excited because I'm 65. Look what I have to look forward to over the next 4 years. So she's got a great attitude. And we talked a little bit about the phrase fake it till you make it. And I think that alone is worth listening, hearing her perspective about that. It's just a great conversation that you'll enjoy. So without further ado, let's listen in to my conversation with Linda. Welcome to another episode of Living Your Spark Second Half. I just have to say congratulations to my guest, Linda Ward, and me for solving the technical glitch that we had. It's always a challenge. She and I both had to move to places where we could hear each other better. The audio was a little choppy. So hopefully the technology gods will be with us today, right, Linda?
Hopefully.
But I tell you, we are awesome old people. So
Absolutely.
yes, yes. Linda is in her late 60s. She's 69 to be specific. I'm 65. So we're in that same stage of life. And
Mhm.
she is loving life. And I found her, I read an article that she'd written. It struck me because it was about Italy, one of my favorite places. And so I reached
Mhm.
out to her and I asked her to come on and talk about her life, what's sparking her, why she writes, what she did in her past life, and all those things. So, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lori. It's so fun to be here and talk about these things. So I'm excited.
Yes. So, what the article said that led me to you is that you
Yes,
and your husband spent 3 months in Italy. And
we
not many
did.
people will leave the comfort of their home and travel, let alone go somewhere for 3 months. So, how did that come
Hmm.
about?
So Italy has always been my husband's dream. He's wanted to go to Italy. During the pandemic, we had already booked a trip to Italy, but we had to cancel because of the pandemic. As you know, Italy was struck almost first and very, very much locked down. So during that year that we had canceled and we were stuck in our basement watching TV, we watched many, many YouTubes on Italy and travel. And so that was still very much his dream. We fed his dream, let's just say. And so
Had you ever
when the
been there?
restrictions were lifted,
Had you ever
no,
been
I'd
there?
never been
Okay.
there. Mm-mm. And it really wasn't a dream, although who doesn't want to go to Italy? I mean, it just sounds beautiful, but it was his dream. So we began to pursue it more, watch more videos, and by the time we did go to Italy, I felt like I knew all the landmarks. We had watched so many YouTube videos on different cities that we visited. So we actually went for 3 years in a row. The first year we stayed 1 month, the second year, 3 months, and then last year, 3 months again. So when I look back on it, I think that was really a lot. We did a lot. We went for 3 whole months to another country, but what an amazing experience to actually do that, fulfill his dream. And because of that, we've met some just warm and kind, beautiful people across the world that we are still in contact with and have friendships with. So it was an amazing experience.
Did you go different
Of course,
places?
we did. The first year, we went right around the Amalfi Coast. So the Amalfi Coast is a very popular site, touristy, and we loved it. We just loved it. It's gorgeous. When you think of Italy and the sides of the mountain where all these colorful homes are, and you look up the mountain and they're just packed in there, that's exactly what it is, right by the sea.
What was the
So
name
we
of the town you
spent,
stayed in too, so people can reference that if they want to go look up
sure.
on
Well, we went to
Google it?
several towns. Yeah, Google it. We went to several towns, but we actually stayed in Maori. It's spelled Maiori. And the reason we picked Maori was that it's a very flat, walkable town, whereas some of the other ones in years past that we've been there, there's a lot of steps. So those steps are what makes that whole scene beautiful, but very difficult. So Maori is different. You can walk and walk and walk and not have as many steps. There's still steps, but not as many.
Oh, well, that's
Um,
good to know.
yeah. And it's just a gorgeous small town that swells during the summer with all the tourists and has beautiful people there.
Yeah, it's funny.
So,
I've been to Italy like 3 times, I think, if
hmm
I have to count it up. I went to Venice and Florence one time, and I've been to Florence another time and done the whole Tuscany thing. And then we were on a Mediterranean cruise, and we did Naples, we did Rome,
yeah.
Sorrento. I loved. That's the furthest south I got. Went to Capri. And then my husband and I went back. Yeah, we did it. That's when the second time I went to Florence and we went through Rome. So done Rome a couple times. Rome to me is kind of a dirty city
Hmm.
and it has those great landmarks, the
Sure.
Colosseum. And of course, Florence has the statue of David. So I didn't know where any
Yeah.
of this stuff was when I started going to Italy. But my all-time favorite is Pompeii. Did you go to
Pompeii.
Pompeii? I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
We didn't we didn't go to Pompeii, but my all-time favorite, how funny this is, it was Rome. I
Oh, well, you know what they say?
love
You should read the book. There was a series that was written, The Da Vinci Code, and that you should read
yes.
because there's a lot of historical, it's a fiction, but it's a lot of history in there. And I think I read after I had been there or after the trip where we spent most of our time in Rome. But they
Mhm.
say it's fun. Read a book that has a lot of these sites and then you can go and visit them.
I was absolutely taken with Rome. I thought every path was an architectural delight. It was so beautiful. So,
Well,
yeah,
that's
but
good to get
we
that
we
perspective. Yeah. If I don't like cities as much, I'm just more of a country girl. So I think that's also the city.
I could factor in.
Yeah, yeah.
We also went to the other side of the boot. We went way down at the heel to this city called Otranto. And so across the sea from Otranto is Greece. So we're way on that side of the boot. And that was a whole different experience as well, but gorgeous, beautiful. We're always by the sea whenever we go to Italy. So it was just fabulous, really. Beautiful trip.
That's
And I think at this age, sometimes it's hard to think about spending the money to go. It's hard to think about all the factors that are involved. And no kidding, there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of details. But we kept asking ourselves, if not now, when? And we do ask ourselves that about many things that we're about to venture into. If we don't do it now, when will we do it? And so that kind of motivates us to continue to do different things that we've always wanted to do in our lifetime.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I learned on your website that you got divorced after 23 years when you were 47. Speaking of,
I
if
did.
not when, how about now?
Yes.
I was 47 when I left my 25-year marriage. So when I saw
Okay.
that, I was like, yeah, yeah, I was in your head. I know exactly how you were feeling. You said you
Wow.
had the feeling you hated your life.
Yeah. I would wake up every day telling myself I hate my life.
Mm,
That went on for a while because of the shock that you go through. And I'm sure you know, Lori, the shock you go through and how, what a setback in your life that I never expected to happen. And so that
so
was,
was this, well, you hated your life before you got divorced or after, or
no.
no,
Hmm.
you had a good life, you thought, and then
I
you
thought
got
so.
blindsided?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yes, I
See, I chose
did.
to
I was,
leave, so that was the hard part. Yeah, being
mhm.
the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, it's such a change in your lifestyle at
Yeah.
your late 40s, coming into the 50s.
Yes.
So yes, it was very, very difficult. But
You
you
identify as a
know,
wife, you
like one,
identify as a part of a family,
yeah,
and that is just gone.
for sure.
Where do you go for the
Hmm.
holidays?
In fact, I remember saying to myself, the only thing I know to be is a wife. Now what am I?
I know. And
As I look back on that,
the girlfriend word was like, ew, I do not want to be a girlfriend. It was hard.
yeah, it was hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, my
here
heart
we
goes out
are.
to you if it was something that you didn't want. What'd you learn from that experience about yourself?
There's probably more than I could even start to say that you learn. It's like those transforming moments in your life where you have to change. You're forced into making a pivot in your life. And that was one of them. So I learned that I could make decisions. I could be okay on my own. I could make money. I didn't need to have another income from my husband. I
Did you have a
learned
job before you? What were you
at the
doing were you employed?
I was. So I have a background in social work and counseling and a degree in that. And yet, because I had children and raising them, I just worked part-time in the school. I did what fit into our family life. So by the time the divorce happened, I hadn't built my career enough. So I was afraid. I was always afraid of being able to support myself at that point. So that motivated me to just get back into my career and start building that so that I could support myself.
How old were your
But
kids?
the biggest, let's see, 14 and 17 at the divorce.
That's
So,
tough.
but the biggest transformation in my life was after I became retired. Because at that point, I had built my career. I had figured out finances. I had married again to this fantastic person, and then decided, what is it that I really, really want to do? So I wasn't as motivated toward my career and building and making sure I had money as I was in finding out what's my true happy path here. And so that was the biggest transformation.
So how did you find love again? I know somebody out there is listening and wants to know. What's the
Yes.
secret?
I wish I had a secret to, to really tell people do this and this will help you, but I think I had to go through this time where I was okay by myself. I had to disengage from having a partner kind of bolster me up. And once I got my feet under myself, I did meet my husband in a coffee shop.
How
And so
cool.
Yeah, it was in a coffee shop. We didn't immediately connect though. We kept in contact through the years, and it was 10 years later after meeting him that we married. I know,
Wow.
10
Would you
years.
keep running into him at the coffee shop?
We kept running. We would go to a movie or something now and then, or we would have dinner together now and then. But I kept thinking, he's really nice, but I don't think he's the guy. How silly of me, because he's the guy.
That's so neat.
But it,
Was he divorced or did he have a
yeah, he
situation
was
like,
also divorced, has 3 children, and
mm,
he also was single for a long time. So
yeah,
I think, there was some growing up each of us did separately. And then to finally get married, to be so securely happy at this point is just wonderful.
that's nice.
Although
Yeah,
I understand it
what
doesn't
oh, sorry.
have,
One of the things that you said that struck me is how you had to be on your own. To me, that was all about building yourself and respecting yourself. I think when you're really
yeah,
broken, when you come out of a marriage, you're more than likely, you're going to attract the people who want to take advantage of that. People, good people who are looking for love usually want somebody who loves themselves. I mean, you're attracted to people who have the confidence, who have good energy. And when somebody is having a lot of negativity about themselves, about their life, that's bad energy. And if you are in that place, you need to find the tools to get out, I think, in order to find the right person. If you really want the right person, somebody who's going to bring a lot
mhm.
of positivity in your life, you're not going to attract those kind of people when you're in that space, which is unfortunate. And a lot of people jump into things and then it's just another negative relationship.
That can happen. And that's heartbreaking. So maybe they jumped a little too soon before they had time to really establish who they were and how they're okay. They're
Yeah.
okay on
Yeah.
their own.
Well, I think
Establish
people
that.
seek, if they can't find it within themselves, they seek it from somebody else. And that's a
Right.
trap people often set. They're nice to you in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they,
Yeah, and I gotta say, I went down that road myself. I dated some men that ended up with heartbreak in that 10 years before I married my husband. We went out now and then, but I was dating too. And some of those were just awful. I was attracting the people that I thought would help me, but I needed to realize that I didn't need their help, that I'm
yeah,
okay. And what I really needed to attract was a kind, good-hearted, loving person. It took time for me to grow up into that, I would
yeah,
say.
to learn those lessons. But
Yeah.
hallelujah, you did it.
Yes, yes, we're both very happy. And so we're entering into a new era as I turn 70. Unbelievable to me. To enjoy life at this point going forward is just fantastic.
Mm, yeah. I saw another article you wrote, and I just wanted to touch on it because I thought it was pretty good. It was about faking it till you make it. Yeah.
Yes,
That
with that
phrase, fake
one.
it until you make it. And everybody's like, yeah, you shouldn't fake it till you make it because then you're not authentic. But if you look at it differently and what that actually means, and that was kind
Mm-hmm.
of what your article was about. I'll certainly share the links to the articles of yours that I liked and led me to you. But you talked about the three things that you can fake it until you make it. I don't know if you want to go
Yeah.
into that. If I am probably like ruining how you presented it, but the three things, just to touch on them, and then you can go into the explanation of why you picked those things, was
Okay.
confidence, courage, and self love.
Right. So I don't think fake it till you make it works on every level, but on those three. So there are times when you need to give yourself a self-talk that you are confident and you can do it. You might not feel it, your insides are shaking. You don't feel like you're competent, but you're going to go into whatever this situation is and you're going to bolster yourself up. And it's almost like you are faking it. But that is going to give you that inner courage to do it.
Yeah. I love what you said because this is a mind trick that you shared because in the moment you might be faking it, but you've had it before. And
Yes.
so that was your tip is pull on an experience where you were confident, where you were courageous. And I tell you, your higher self will find it if you give it some space, right? Because people will say, I've never been confident. I've always been the weakling. Well, that's probably somebody's been telling you that, or somebody you've been overhearing it or interpreting something. So I just
Yeah.
love that because we always go back and criticize our past. We don't like look at it when was I the hero? When did I really love myself? And so I loved that. And I thought that was really powerful. And it was kind of tied into what you were saying about needing that space to,
Yes.
so you wouldn't have to fake it. And it was really authentic coming out of you.
And I think that like you just touched on, Lori, we replay in our mind our failures so much that they become a first thing that we think about. But if you can go back and find a time that you actually used your courage, that you were like, oh yeah, that took a lot of guts, that will instill in you that courage you need at that moment. So yes, so
Yeah.
courageous, confidence. Tell me the third one again
It was
that
self
you
love. Yeah.
loved.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's so much in our world and in our lives that come against us to make us not love ourselves, to be very critical. And yet there are times that if you just encourage yourself by saying things like, you know what, you're okay. You're all right, Linda. You're going to be all right. You know, you've done well so far. Think of those things. I just love you, Linda. You're going to be fine. Those things give you the confidence to go forward
Yeah.
and, and to stand on your own 2 feet, I think.
Yeah, I had read something once that I thought this is a really cool thing to do. And I would say to people who are listening, if they're struggling with self-love, make this an action item, like put it on your calendar, make it a daily, develop it into a daily habit. So say you're brushing your teeth. You brush your teeth every day, right? When you're looking in the mirror as you're brushing your teeth, find 10 things you like about yourself and say them out loud.
I
I
love
like
that.
I like my eyes, the way they sparkle when I smile. I like you know, if you can't find 10,
Yeah, yeah.
then
Keep working on it.
the next day, find
Yeah.
one new thing. Repeat the things you like, find a new thing. Because your brain will start thinking over the course of the day of
Hmm.
things that you like about yourself because you've geared your brain to that frequency. And so when we look in the mirror, what do we do? Oh, I'm getting these jowls. Oh my God, I need to contact the plastic surgeon. Oh, my eyelids are drooping. I could find a zillion things.
So we can
Oh,
find
my
them if
arms
we
are just
want
getting a
to.
little wiggly. Wait, I need to do more arm exercises. Oh, my brown spots. I need better makeup. But really, it's so easy to go on a long list of what we can fix,
Yes.
but switch it to the positive. Find the things you like and maybe you go back into what if people said to me that they like and maybe it's the thing you're wearing in the mirror and it's not something physical to you. So yeah, I think self-love has to be cultivated with practice
Hmm.
and it's hard to do, and I think that's why, as our earlier conversation was around, I think people go and seek that elsewhere, and you got to get it from within because external is not a constant. It's a very permeable and changing and people won't be around forever. And so I think that I really liked that the way you I think the fake it to the make it was like the title to attract you, and then there was so
Yes.
much good stuff in that and I liked it. So I wanted to bring it up.
I love that you said that. Thank you. And another thing that you said that's so valuable here is to be careful what we tell ourselves when you look in the mirror and you tell yourself, oh, I have so many wrinkles, blah, blah, blah. Be careful with all that because what goes through your head is super important about yourself. You can really tear yourself down. Nobody else has to do it. You can do it to yourself. And pretty much women do this all the time. So begin like what I did, I would say probably about 10 years ago. I began to pay attention to those statements that tore me down and I'd write them down. It's like, oh, there it is again. There's that thought again. And then I would try to come against that thought with a different thought, a positive one. And that's how I began to change my own self-thinking from negative to positive, and the huge transformation that made in my life, just paying attention to my self-talk. Huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to say it's the baggage we carry around with us. There's been a lot of decades we've been carrying
Yes.
this baggage. I envision when I talk about that, my old American Tourister luggage my grandmother and grandfather gave me for Christmas. It might be
Bring
in
it
the
down.
attic, but it's still around, you know?
Yes.
Time to upgrade, right? Yeah, I
Good
love that.
analogy. Love it.
Yeah. I want to mention this just for my Italian people, the ones that want to go
Yes.
to Italy and haven't, and or love the story that you went there for 3 months. I have had two people because I love Italy. We did this walking tour one year, some friends of ours, world travelers, and we kind of tagged along with them. They had already planned this trip, and I was like, I'm gonna go. But it was just the most amazing thing because we were on our own and we got maps and we walked from town to town and they took our
Oh,
luggage for us. Speaking of luggage, but it was so great and I really felt like I was immersed in the culture, in the Italian culture there as we did. And like in fact one day it was really hot and we had stopped and had a picnic. We had carried our stuff in a backpack and we'd had some wine and one of the people got overheated and it was probably a little too much alcohol and not enough water. And so
mhm,
there was a house. We were just like walking along in the woods, and there was a
mhm,
house, and there was a woman outside, doesn't speak a lick of English. She was watering
mhm.
her plants. And we were like, we knew the word for water in Italian. And she
Aqua.
took us in the kitchen and gave us water. And it's just something that you would have never done if you did the city thing and you did a tour. And so I love that. So I have had a couple people on one couple, I went back and looked because it's been so long. They were very, very early, probably like 3 years ago. I did a two-part episode because I met her and then I wanted to talk to her. And then I got on and her husband was there. And
Oh,
so
nice.
I had her husband and her, and he ended up doing most of the talking. But they had moved there
Mhm,
and they had small kids. I think were Australian and they moved to Italy and then they ended up living there and he renovated houses and they built a whole life there. They didn't speak Italian when they went there. And it was a fascinating story about how it changed their kids' lives. And so that was a really great. So I'll link to that. And then there was a woman who does tours. And you might be interested in this one, but her name's Jackie Parsons and she owns a company called Hedonistic Hiking. And she does hiking in and she's also Australian. Isn't that interesting? No, she's English. She's English. Her husband's Australian. But she said when she married him, she said, commit to me that I'll never have to move to Australia. And so now she lives 6 months in Australia. So that was funny part of the story. But they met as tour, they loved being tour guides. And they met, I forget what country they met in, but anyways, they're from the UK. And so now that's what she does is she does hiking tours and
wow.
they're
Beautiful.
perfect for people our age. They're not like heavy duty up a mountain type of thing. But so if anybody's looking for something like that, I think that's a great idea too. You and your husband might want to do that. So
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. There's something about Italy. I'm attracted to these Italy people and the people with the affiliation to Italy. So that's why you caught my eye. So what advice would you give your younger self?
Yes. Well, I believe that I would tell myself it's going to be okay. Because I
Mm,
remember various times in my life, various transformations taking place, wondering if I could survive through it. Gonna be
yeah.
okay. Just stay calm. Stay calm. You'll be fine. I think I give myself that. So just to chill out a little bit, because I'm the type of person that likes to have everything pretty much planned out. And life sure didn't go according to my own plan. So that was one thing I had to learn.
Yeah. When you divorced, have you stayed in the same area? You said you live in Minnesota. So are
Mhm.
you you're from there and you've stayed
Yes.
there? Yeah.
But I had a little sprint into Illinois and lived there for a little while. Then I came back and established a little bit more here in Minnesota. And all my family, my extended family is here.
Hmm.
So,
And have you
yes,
become a life coach? You said you have background in social work and counseling, which really ties into the whole life coaching. Obviously, that's your love of working with
my
people. Yeah.
life coach. And the reason I did that, I also have a degree in counseling and I was a therapist for a while, but I switched over to coaching because coaching is a little bit different in that it does not go back into family of heritage and all of those things that you went through as a child, but it takes you right where you are right now forward into what you want to do, what you want to
Mm,
be, how you want to overcome some things right now. And it's pretty short term with everyone. So you're not in there, like in therapy, you could be in that for years. This, in my own coaching practice, are like three session blocks. Let's just get you past this thing that's a stumbling block for you right now. And sometimes it only takes 3 sessions. So that's my preferred way of working with people. And then, as you mentioned, being a writer, so I put together a book, and the book was just on crazy simple ways of feeling happier.
mm.
So my target is women in our age group where we might just need to be reminded that we're making being happy a little too hard. So let's keep
Oh, that is
it
great. Quote, we're making happy too
too hard.
hard.
Hmm. And I truly believe that for my own life. Sometimes I made it, everything had to line up for me to be happy. And if I would have just stayed a little calmer and realized you can find happiness no matter what, even in the bad times, just keep it simple. And maybe for a few moments, grab that happy moment right there
Mm.
instead of having everything line up perfectly to be happy.
So I have a question for you on that. What do people, because I certainly, my passion is to not see people accept mediocre, not let people accept, well, I can't do that because what would people say? Or I can't do that. Like stopping what they're passionate about, stopping going for the thing that will light them up. So, how do you, because I love what you said about, you know, we make happy too hard. I get that. But what does that mean? Does that mean we're looking for something that we'll never find? Are we looking for something outside of ourselves? So, like, how I don't want people to stay in the mediocre.
Hmm.
And, but I agree with we're making it too hard. So,
Yeah.
how do you summarize that?
Whoa, that's a big one to summarize. So I'm going to touch on
As
a
a
few of
coach,
them
what would you say?
because there was a lot there I could have gone off on. But okay, I think first of all, figure out what does light you up. What is it? And for everybody, that's a little bit different. It could be just a day at home with everything being really calm and peaceful. It could be going out and meeting friends. It could be pursuing going to Italy. It could be something big. So what is it? And then realize you have to take baby steps to get to it. Don't put it on the shelf because it's overwhelming. Put it right there and then sort out the baby steps and begin. Just begin.
Yeah, I
So,
love that. And don't you think I'm a true believer that we, because I come from this experience personally, we think we have to do it all ourselves. We don't realize that there are, I don't want to get all woo woo, but there are things that are beyond our knowledge, our conscious mind. There's things beyond our human experience that
mhm,
are on our side. And
absolutely.
so sometimes things come to you if you just know what you want. And
Yes.
when you make it hard, you think you have to be the one that's doing all the heavy lifting. You have to know what you want. You have to know what that is that lights you up. and you have to share it with people, but it doesn't mean that you have to take on all the burden of,
Exactly. Exactly.
figuring it out, because like
Exactly.
things will drop in your lap. Yes.
And you can look back at times when you didn't take on all the burden and it started to happen. So I
Yes.
call those like, is this the word serendipitous
Yes.
that happened to you? Once you know what lights you up, let's just say it's Italy. It's a trip to Italy. And you begin to take a small step toward that. But then, like my husband and I, we watched a million YouTube videos. We could almost see ourselves walking down the streets. We could see the landmarks. So we also put ourselves there in our imagination.
Oh, that's so great.
And then as we kept going toward that thing that lit us up, we actually then found ourselves there. And many things fell in place that we didn't do heavy lifting for. They came to us as we kept going toward that intent. And
Yes.
that's how it would be with anything. I believe taking that big transformation and situation of going to Italy and breaking that down can be used in everyday life toward what you want.
Yeah.
Baby step, find yourself there. Think about how it would feel to actually have that happen and
Hmm.
things begin to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And let people know about it. I think that's the thing. This people sit in their quietness, dreaming about things and keeping them to themselves. Thinking it is a good thing. If knowing it is a good thing, because you don't have to, like, if you're thinking the thoughts, then you're going to attract good stuff around
Yes.
that. But then the more you talk about it, the more that energy, the human energy that is
Yeah.
going to come your way, and you're going to find these people and you're going to be led. So what a great conversation this has been.
It has
So,
been.
so
Thank you,
wonderful.
Lori. Yes. So much more we could go off on to.
I know. We'll have to have a part two. But thank you so much for being here and being you and being bold enough to pick yourself up and find a new and what sounds like even happier life. And that you're 69, almost 70, going like just, I mean, you're just on a roll. It doesn't feel like you're anywhere near, like, I think of the word retire and then I see people like putting their feet up on the beach and then really not. I think to a certain degree, if people have worked their whole life, they deserve to have some downtime. But at some point, you need to have feel valued, like what you're doing in the world matters. And I don't think sitting on the beach and with your feet propped up brings much value, but I could be wrong. Maybe value to the, if you're around people and
So I
sharing
gotta
your life
say,
story.
gotta say that I do my share of that too.
Yeah.
I I put my feet up. I've been to the ocean, got my feet on in the sand there. So I do my share of that. But I also have figured out what lights me up, and I just keep going toward
That's
that. So
amazing. And I
yeah.
think writing is a really good thing that we can do as we get older because
Mhm.
right, like it made a difference to me when I read your articles. And now
Oh,
you're
that's
you're here and
encouraging. Thank
we're
you.
talking about it, and there's so much value we have and wisdom that we have from the ages. And so just writing your thoughts down, and you
Yes,
keep them to yourself, but share them amongst your friends and post them on social media. We have that vehicle now that we used to not have. So thank you so
exactly.
much.
Thank you, Lori. It's been a pleasure.
All
I think you're
right.
going back to Italy. I do.
Yeah, I do want to go back to Italy. I do. I've actually thought about reaching out to Jackie and trying to organize some kind of a retreat with her, with a
Mhm.
walking kind of
There you
thing. But
go.
yeah, these people come into your life for a reason. And
Exactly.
sometimes I don't think they're just in my life to be a podcast guest and then that's it, you know?
For you too. So yeah,
Anyways, all
keep
right.
that Italy spark.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Italy to me is just a wonderful place to be. The people are so wonderful, and I love I love
Absolutely
everything about
wonderful.
it. Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you, Lori. Bless you. We'll talk soon.
Okay.